to get ready to go. And he's like, no, it's on you. So I don't know. Well, then let's get going. This is the second class you guys have sat through. Is that right? Nice. Nobody's quite burnt out yet of sitting in classes yet? No? Okay. So I got some really awesome information. Who's ever heard of the Biblio diet yet? This is brand new to you guys? You have heard of it? Who's ever heard of Jordan Rubin? The Maker's Diet or Garden of Life or Ancient Nutrition? Like these are some of the like leading companies in the world of like nutrition and natural health. Who's ever heard of Dr. Josh Axe? The number one health and wellness website in the world, right? Jordan Rubin and Dr. Josh Axe have really like put it on their hearts to really get back to this like idea of like, let's just get back to what it says biblically, how to live this life in a way of like expressing like physical health as a spiritual, spiritual practice. Yes, like responsibility. That was the word I was looking for. Good job, though. Thanks for helping out. So this is really what it was created to be as far as like helping people get back to what it says we should be doing to express health at our full potential. So this is Jordan Rubin, and if you don't know his history, he at 19 years old, he was diagnosed with Crohn's disease. He was literally dying. His digestive system was just deteriorating. He was, if you know much about Crohn's disease, but like the insides just melt out of you. And he was given no hope. He said he was absolutely not going to live. And he decided to just get very serious, give his life to God. He went 40 days of this biblical eating plan. He gained 29 pounds and completely reversed an irreversible autoimmune disease. And if God didn't think he had enough to deal with, he decided to further test him to create him into who he is today. Obviously, you guys realize that we go through trials and tribulations, not to us, but for us. And he's here for to make a massive impact in this world. And so he was diagnosed with cancer at 32 years old and was told by all these extremely high-level doctors that if you do not do chemo, there's going to be a 100% chance that you were going to die within 3 months. And he understood that his body was fearfully and wonderfully made, and that if you can get to the underlying cause of the issue and remove that interference to allow the body to express itself at 100%, that his body would be healed. And he dedicated himself to biblically living and biblically eating, which is so much of what created that original book, The Maker's Diet, as well as this new Biblio diet. And after that, all of his cancer markers were completely gone, and he was healed of cancer, and that was 20 years ago. All right, everybody say amen. Amen. Yeah, it's an incredible story of healing. In fact, Dr. Josh Axe went through another trial and tribulation where he was diagnosed with this incurable spinal infection. Really crazy story because he was like literally like on his deathbed, and he just got back to these biblical principles. And again, over a course of time, he was able to heal following these principles that we're going to quickly share. I mean, I don't have a lot of time, and there's a ton of resources, but the Biblio diet, if you haven't seen it, it's one of the New York Times bestseller books. I think it's like number 5 in the country right now. It's number 18 on Amazon. It's like one of the top-selling Christian wellness books available. So it's an incredible resource, and it has just been blowing up. I mean, God is just blessing this, and they've really partnered with us, Max Living. I am a Max Living chiropractor. My name is Dr. Brent DeLong. I've been in practice for, like 15 years. Very blessed. We have one of the largest wellness practices in the country. We help thousands and thousands of people. In fact, I even left my practice this morning to come speak with you, leave the 99 to get the one. But I mean, that's just what our ministry is. I mean, we exist to help people understand how their body functions, what health is, how to manage it. Because if you look at so many of these current statistics, it is just insane how far we have fallen from true health. Like, I don't have to share this a lot these days because people recognize how sick we are, but 76% of adults have more than one chronic illness. Like 90% of healthcare spending is on chronic disease and mental health conditions. And I mean, these are like lifestyle-y induced. So when you look at like how sick our country is, this is insane to think about. But like, who has kids or grandkids? Raise your hand. So this is the first time in human history where that generation, like our children's generation, is said to have a shorter life expectancy than us, which is crazy scary. But think about it. Are heart disease rates going down or up? Up. Every single year, more and more people are getting diagnosed with heart disease. In fact, I looked at the study where they did autopsies on these little kiddos as young as 5 years old, and you could see plaquing and heart disease already starting to build in their arteries. Cancer right now kills like 1 out of 2 men, 1 out of 3 women, and it's said to increase another 75% by like 2030 if it continues on this current trend. You guys know what autism is, right? Autism is on this huge increase. In fact, it's supposed to increase even more than what you see here, even in the next few years, if it follows this current trend. So I bring all this stuff up not as like this like depressing, shocking, like, oh my gosh, woe is us, we're so sick. But it's the idea that like we have to be doing something different. There's this book by Pastor Andy Stanley. It's the Power of Path. I think that's what it's called. And it basically says this, like you can hope and wish that you have this outcome all you want, but if you're going in the wrong direction, you're never going to get there. Right? So if I want to go visit my dad who's in Iowa, if I like get in the car and I'm like super stoked, I got my See My Dad t-shirt on, I got my dad playlist, blasting, but my dad's in Iowa, so if I get on I-35 and head south, I ain't getting there, right? So it's not your intention, it is your direction. It is not your intention, it is your direction that gets you the results. And so what we have to do is we have to recognize this idea that like if you continue to do what everyone else is doing, if you continue to live the lifestyle that is just so common here in the US, that you're going to end up with the exact same results. Because what is the definition of insanity? Yeah. Because who wants to get old, sick, and feel weak and be on lots of drugs? Raise your hand. Like, nobody wants more drugs. Nobody wants more fatigue issues. Nobody wants another diagnosis. Nobody wants to hurt more. But that's what is so common in our country. Out of all the industrialized nations, we are absolutely one of the sickest countries that exists. In fact, this is an insane stat, but we have one of the highest infant mortality rates in the U.S. compared to every other industrialized nation. So we have to recognize that what we're doing is the wrong direction. We need to do something different. Say yes. Yes, we've got to figure out, hey, what do we need to do different to get different results? So everybody wants different results. Yes or yes? Yes. Okay, so I wanted to start with this because I am just so amazed at how wonderfully and fearfully we're made. So I want to play this, but this is a fast 16 hours of the very first thing to form in an embryo, and that is the nerve system. It is the brain and spinal cord. So, uh-oh. Like you can just watch God knit that baby together. Has everybody heard of the vagus nerve before? It's getting very popular. This is the vagus nerve forming. How can you watch that and not just be in amazement of how incredibly we are built? But this kind of brings me back to why in the world a max living chiropractor would be doing a talk on something like this. Because when people think of chiropractors, you think of what? Back pain, neck pain, headaches, right? Right? I mean, come on, that's what people kind of associate. And yeah, I help a ton of people with neck pain and back pain, but that's not really what chiropractic is. What chiropractic is, it is the purpose of trying to identify interference in your nerve system's ability to communicate and coordinate all systems and functions of the body. So like, while I'm not a back doctor, I am a spine doctor. I'm a spine doctor because that spine is what houses your nerve system. If your nerve system is not communicating and coordinating effectively, your body will create dysfunction, disorganization, dyskinesis, and then disease. Disease is not a lack of medication. It is a lack of coordination and adaptation. We are built to be healthy, right? When my little babies were born, and yeah, I have 4 of them. When my babies were born, they were healthy. So why wouldn't they be healthy at 70? Well, if we interfere with the process, right? Why would I poison my baby at birth? Why would I feed it toxic food? Why would I expose it to toxins and stresses? Because that is what creates dysfunction and disease. The whole purpose is try to removing the stresses, the toxins, so our bodies can express that health at 100%. Now, we live in a fallen world, so it's impossible to avoid all these stresses and toxins, but our goal is to try to improve our body's ability to adapt and to regulate as much as humanly possible so our body can be healthy. So I want to go through just a couple premises as far as like what it talks about in this book. Like, what does it mean to like live biblically or follow a biblically designed diet? And so I'm going to talk about some nutrition stuff. I'm going to talk about some movement stuff, a little bit about mindset stuff. And one of the most important things is that my goal today is to really help shift a paradigm. It's a renewing of the mind on how you think and approach your health. One purpose that I have is to help shift people from what the medical paradigm has convinced us to think about healthcare into a new mindset of above down, inside out. That's how God created us. Power from above down, inside out expression of that life energy. But there's some functional stuff. It's not just like talking about it. I want you guys to see physically how that shows in your day in and day out life. And what you can do to help control and manage it and regulate it to make sure you are expressing health at 100%. So this is probably one of the biggest things nutritionally we have to talk about. The elephant in the room is that everybody eats too much. We have just this abundance of food available. Back in the day, that's not what happened. It was feast and famine. Your body is very much designed to be able to function like that. When you get food, you eat food, you store energy, and then you burn off that energy. But we have this chronic exposure to food. So Americans eat 5.7 times a day. Obesity has tripled over the last 60 years. And this is what's insane is most food today is not even real food. You know, one of the versions of this kind of book used to be called Body by God. Anybody heard of that book? Body by God, Dr. Ben Lerner. And really simply, but you want to eat food by God, not food by man. The more it has been touched or influenced the man, it is worse it is. There's a way that seems right to man, but in the end, that leads to death. So we have to try to step away from just the flow of the world, the consistency of what the normal people are doing, because we don't want those same results. And so one of the things is just people eat too much and they don't eat enough real food. So just real quick, here's some research for you for those analytical people. When they looked at these eating windows, if someone had an eating window of more than 9 hours, it increased weight gain by 26%. If you ate more than 15 hours in a day, it was 43%. If you kind of snacked or ate constantly, like just snack, like wake up snack, eat late snack, early snack, it literally increased weight gain by 65%. So what I'm talking about is timed eating. Who's ever heard of intermittent fasting? It's like a huge fad. Like people are really jumping on board because it helps you lose weight. And here's one of the ideas. We talked about how when you eat, your body stores excess food, right? And what does excess food get stored as? Body fat. It is a really good design. You need to have energy in case there's a famine. But when you constantly are feeding more and more gas into your tank just gets bigger and bigger, and that's what fat is. And so when you intermittent fast, it allows your body to get into the glycogen stores. Your body stores this fuel as sugar and fat or whatever, and it allows your body to get to those deep recesses of the gas tank and trying to burn that unused fuel up. It's insanely good for increasing insulin sensitivity. I mean, intermittent fasting is incredible for like helping with pre-diabetic, diabetic, or even moving down that pathway, as well as just weight loss in general. Not to mention that some of the best benefits is autophagy. Does anybody know what autophagy is? So your body, again, fearfully, wonderfully made. It is designed to identify and activate killer cells to kill things like cancer. We always have cancer cells. Every single one of us has some sort of cancer cells in us. It's somewhere between, 100 and 1,000 or 10,000. And that's just normal. Your body's just having bad cells, rogue cells, damaged cells from all sorts of different reasons, but your body's designed to find it, kill it. Okay? Autophagy allows that to happen. And when you fast for 24 to 48 hours, it ramps up autophagy. One of the best things you could do to consistently kill cancer cells is to fast. Now, intermittent fasting is like 16-8. You just skip breakfast, eat lunch, dinner. That's kind of like what it says biblically as far as like just daily, fasting. But when you fast for greater periods of time, there's these incredible health benefits. Now, a lot of times, especially like in the Christian world, we're using this fasting as a way to honor God. Where you remove the food and your body has hunger, it turns you to prayer, right? You're trying to get support and you're trying to get connection by eliminating some of the distractions. And when you suffer, it allows you to grow closer to God. But there's some incredible health benefits to it as well. And so this is a practice that I do regularly. In fact, I haven't ate breakfast yet, and I won't eat until I get home and after I work out. And that'll be closer to 1 or 2. Like, and exercising fasted has got some incredible benefits as well. I mean, so, but just, this is just one of the main things I want to talk about. Kind of moving through this, because again, I want to go through this, but so this is just, these are the eliminate the sinister 6. So we've got to start cutting this stuff out. Again, if we're trying to follow this healing style, biblical based diet, is, remove the unclean meats. Got to get rid of artificial sweeteners. I mean, that's kind of a no-brainer. Guys, that's like super touched by man, right? So you've got to eliminate that. In fact, most of these artificial sweeteners are neurotoxins, and they burn holes in the brain. So they cause all this damage neurologically. They eat, they cause leaky gut issues, which creates systemic inflammatory issues and autoimmune issues. Not to mention, they're actually more linked to weight gain. Most people are doing these artificial sweeteners to try to avoid the calorie, but technically these artificial sweeteners like diet sodas are more linked to obesity than even just the high fructose corn syrup, which is terrible too. Okay? Added sugar, white flour, artificial dyes. So replace with healthy fats, clean proteins, powerhouse foods. So here are the biblical superfoods. Red meat. And this is like insanely controversial apparently, but like really when you look biblically, red meat is actually really, really good for you. Insanely good, especially when you get it from good sources. This is important to hear. Ready for this? I know everybody's taking pictures. We do have books available, okay, but like here's the reality. It's not what you eat, because you've heard this, like you are what you eat. Yes? Who's heard that? Okay. You are what you ate. Okay? It's you are what you ate. So if you're eating red meat that has been fed GMO corn, glyphosate-ridden grass or hay or alfalfa, if they're full of steroids, hormones, and antibiotics, that's what you're eating. 16 pounds of feed equals 1 pound of meat. So you're condensing all that toxin in. Okay? So you got to get clean sources, organic, grass-fed. Mushrooms are incredible. Avocado is a superfood. Wild-caught salmon, wild-caught, not farm-raised. I dare you to just look up how gross farm-raised fish is. They have to like feed the salmon pink dye because their skin is gray. It's gross. Eggs, again, organic, superfood, some of God's perfect proteins. Organ meats, who's ever heard like treats like? If you have a thyroid issue, you should be taking thyroid supplements, like thyroid organ supplements. If you have liver issues, you should be taking liver supplements. Like beef organs, those are some of the most powerful powerhouse supplements you can ever take. In fact, beef liver has more vitamin B12 in it than like anything else. Yeah, it's just incredible. So sourdough bread, A2 cultured dairy, bone broth, extra virgin olive oil, pomegranates, and coconut oil. These are some of the best superfoods it talks about with biblical backing on how people lived and healed. So this is a big one too, because who's ever heard that fat makes you fat? When you're at the store, who's ever reached for like the low fat or no fat product? Yeah, because back in like the 70s, 80s, they convinced us that like getting whole fat was really going to make you fat. That's not really true. Fat doesn't make you fat. It's your body's inability to burn fat that makes you fat. Okay? In fact, when we took the fat out, guess what they put in? All this sugar. And that's when you saw heart disease and cancer rates like just skyrocket. Because they took the healthy stuff out and put the bad stuff in. So fat doesn't make you fat. Your body absolutely has to have healthy fat. In fact, one of the number one most nutrient deficiencies is healthy fat. And that's why so many people are sick. So I do a lot of high-level metabolics, blood and profiling and stuff like metabolics tests. One of the biggest things you see are these fatty acid imbalances, which create systemic inflammation issues. I mean, how many people know someone with an inflammatory issue, inflammatory disease process? If we did metabolic panels, most people have issues with this fatty acid balance and they're incredibly inflamed. So it's incredibly important. Not to mention your brain is made of healthy fat. I don't know if you guys got the ticket, but I'm doing a brain health seminar next Saturday. I'll give you guys tickets if you want. But like really the entire seminar is talking about what is causing your brain to age or atrophy, amyloid plaquing, all this sort of stuff, and what we need to be doing to create better brain function, whether it's just mental clarity, more energy, or it's trying to avoid things like Alzheimer's and dementia. Okay, so but healthy fat is imperative. You need to give your brain fat. Plus, not to mention, like how many people know people who have hormone imbalances? How many people know like guys who have low testosterone scores? Like you cannot build the hormones if you don't have healthy fats. So if you have hormone imbalances, you need to get your fatty acids checked because I guarantee you're way off. Vegetable oils. This is like one of the worst things you could possibly do to your body. that's put in these damaged oils. There's like the science is settled. Like there's no way they can prove that these things aren't devastating for your health. The problem is that they took this stuff out of the current farm, the current FDA food and pyramid or whatever. The whole industry would crumple if you tomorrow passed a law that you could not use these sort of inflammatory oils. Like the whole food industry would just crumble because there's so many products use it, right? But it's slowly killing us. It's, again, one of the main reasons during all these inflammatory issues, heart disease, cancers. And I don't know if you guys read this, but 5 ounces of French fries cooked in vegetable oil have as many toxins as smoking 20 cigarettes. Who lets their kids smoke cigarettes? Nobody? Do you let them eat French fries? Okay, it's just, again, it's the same toxicity. Okay? This is an extreme version, and when I do health talks in the community, I feel like I step on toes because there are no guilt trips here. Just everybody, I am not perfect either, okay? The problem is, like, the more you know, the more how bad you know what is going on. But I'm not here to make friends. I'm here to influence and create change, right? So I'm just going to shoot you straight. Okay. If they lifestyle themselves to death, right? So if you end up killing yourself, what is that called? Suicide. If you do that to someone else, what is that called? Homicide. So if you're in charge of the nutrition and you're feeding your kids stuff that's literally killing them, like, that's a serious thing. Now, again, I'm not perfect, and I'm saying my kids have never had a French fry, but, like, it does not happen. I mean, it's super rare, and it's got to be in a really bad situation where, like, we do something like that, right? It's just convenience. That's what it is. It's convenience, and it's easy. And I just want to, like, let that land, because if we're trying to change the fact that our children are going to end up sicker and die earlier with more disease than us, then it is up to us to help pull them out of that sort of lifestyle. Does that make sense? It's up to us to change that paradigm. Otherwise, we're going to continue to go down the wrong path, no matter how bad you want it. It's not about what you want. It's not about your intention. It's about the direction. And we got to change the direction of the trajectory of what we're creating in our families' lives. So swap the fats. Get rid of canola oil, soy oil, seed oils. Those are absolutely terrible. Switch it to coconut oil, grass-fed butters, olive oil, avocado oil, ghee. I only cook with avocado oil because olive oil has a lower heating point, or like beef tallow can be okay, right? So that's the oils you want to switch. And here's the reality, is you're going to buy something either way. Don't buy vegetable oil, buy avocado oil, right? Now, if someone says, but doc, it's a little bit more expensive, or it's expensive to buy healthy food, who's ever heard or said that? Okay. Yes, buying healthy food might be a little bit more expensive, but it is not as costly as a disease. It is a priority issue. It is not an expensive issue. I'm not an accountant, but if I went through the finances of a random person, I'm like, dude, you could easily not do this and do this. Don't do Netflix, get healthy food. I'd rather pay the farmer than the pharmacist. Yes or yes? Okay. So meats are medicine. Harvard study has done this. They looked at like carnivore diet. Now, I'm not promoting the carnivore diet, but they have some decent aspects of their nutrition. But it's just the idea that eating red meat does not cause high cholesterol or bad triglycerides. Now, if you're eating inflamed meat, right, sick commercial, that sort of beef, yeah, it probably is. But if you're eating really good, healthy, grass-fed, organic, it's not causing that stuff. So just know, healthy meat is good for you. You need it. In fact, you guys sarcopenia is, so your body, everybody's here is over 30, I'm assuming. Yeah? No? Not everybody's over 30? Okay. Well, when you get to 30, this is what happens. 8% muscle mass loss per decade. Sarcopenia. The only way to stop that is through enough protein and resistance training. Okay? The majority of people do not eat enough protein. You need to be trying to consume 50% of your caloric intake with protein, minimum. Like, you need to be doing about like 1.5 grams per, well, it's 1 gram per gram of kilograms. Yeah, but I don't know how to translate that into pounds because nobody does kilograms here, I'm guessing. But so I'm 180-ish pounds. I need to be consuming about 120 to like 150 grams of protein. Okay? So you can do the math on yourself. I do want to talk about bread. Who loves bread, though? Does anybody love bread? If you didn't raise your hand, you're an absolute liar. Bread is amazing. It tastes incredible. But like, there's a difference between good and bad bread. So, was it Jesus calls himself the bread of life? There's no way he would say that if bread was killing you, right? But what we've done is we've turned bread into something it's not meant to be. And so we hydratization the grain, so it's just massive gluten bombs. The amount of gluten in just like this, like regular bread you'd see in stores is insane. They have just so much glyphosate on it. Does anybody know what glyphosate is? It's Roundup. It's weed killer, right? So if you've seen glyphosate in the news, there's massive amounts of lawsuits because of it's creating cancer issues. But you're consuming it on so many different foods. Like, that's something you guys should just look up in general. What foods are high in the glyphosate index? There's like the Clean 15 and Dirty Dozen when it comes to produce. In fact, who loves coffee? Coffee is like one of the number one most glyphosate-ridden things. You cannot drink non-organic coffee. That is like a no-no. Can't do that, okay? Because glyphosate is not only going to cause cancer, it destroys your microbiome in your gut. It leads to a ton of other issues. So plus modern processing, they remove 90% of the nutrients out of bread. They say it's enriched, which is an absolute lie. The whiter the bread, the sooner you're dead. But the bread of life, ancient grains, the healing power, Roman gladiators or barley men, einkorn, mother's wheat. So if you ferment like sourdough for 48 to 72 hours, it actually break down these things called phytates. And it's actually, if you really get a good sourdough that's been fermented, even people who have gluten intolerances or have some of these different like digestive issues are really able to tolerate it, not too bad. So it's phenomenal. Plus it tastes incredible. So again, just like bread options, ancient grain, sourdough, einkorn spelt, kamut, good bread options, 100% sprouted grains, organic ancient grains, and obviously try and stay away as much as you can from white enriched floured bread. Okay, now exercise. Now, I am a resistance trainer, and I've spent my entire career talking about the importance of resistance training. However, this book talks about how great walking is. So, for all of you that love to walk, here we go. Walking is incredible for you. Jesus was said to have walked 20 miles a day. All the research shows that if you walk up to like 10 to 30 minutes a day or like 150 minutes a week, it lowers all like numbers like all across the board. Not to mention you're outside and you can be in the sun. There's some incredible benefits. So like I'm going to, at least for our talk today, I'm going to encourage walking. I do think resistance training is critically important to maintain muscle mass and aging and functional action. However, walking isn't zero. Fair enough? Okay, all right. Let's see here. I went through that pretty quick. That's awesome. So this is my favorite part. And this is why I want to spend a little bit more time on this specifically. Because I think everybody here knows that an apple is better than a donut. Yes or yes? Okay. There's a lot more to this. I mean, technically, this presentation can be up to like a 2-hour event. Like when we partner with churches and really do this event, like when we do it big, it's like a 2-hour event. When I do it for my patients, it'll probably be more like a 2-hour event. I wanted to kind of get this in like 30 minutes and have 15 minutes of like Q&A maybe if you guys are interested. So there's a lot of extra stuff that like this goes into. If you haven't like seen the book, check the book out. We have some, you can get it online or whatever. It's incredible. And, but like the nutrition stuff I think is important. The exercise stuff I think is critical, but it's really more about renewing of the mind and understanding what true health is. And so I just want to take a little bit and really dive into this, and hopefully this is what resonates and moves people. It's the shifting of the paradigm. We talk a lot in our practice. Our main purpose is to help pull people out of a medical paradigm that says that you're a victim, that you're designed to be faulty, and that you have to take medications to override a faulty system. You were born broken, and you need drugs just to live. We want to pull people out of this medical paradigm that says stuff like that it's nothing you can do, it's your genes, you have to take this drug. What we want to do is move people into what we call in a healthcare system, an above, down, inside out, 5 essentials, max living model of healthcare. And it starts with this. If I was to go out in the community and just take a poll over like 1,000 people, I say, hey, how do you know if you're healthy? What do you think most people will say? I'm healthy because I what? Work out? Okay. I know my kids are healthy because they Okay. Yeah. Eat good, exercise. Those are really good answers, and those are better than most, but there's one answer you really get most of the time. I'm healthy because I feel good. This medical system has us in this thought process that's about symptomatology, and if you don't have any symptoms, you don't go where? You don't go to the doctor. Now, I want to kind of preface this. I do believe that our medical system is this incredible system when it comes to crisis care. We have the best crisis care system in the world. You're hit by a car, you're squirting blood out of your aorta. If you have a heart attack, like, don't come to my office, go to the ER. Okay? They will patch you up, they will set a broken bone, they will lower your blood pressure, they will save your life in the crisis. It is an incredible system. But when it comes to healthcare, it is epically failing. We make up, in the US, about 5% of the world's population. We consume around 75 to 80% of the world's pharmaceuticals. And yet we are one of the sickest countries in the entire world. So if going to doctors, getting drugs, getting labels, having surgery, if that made you healthy, then we should be ranked number what? Number one. But we are not. We're dead last in the industrialized world. It's crazy how sick we are. But a lot of it comes from this part right here. It's people think they're healthy because they feel good, which is crazy because in the medical world, what are the top diseases that people die from? What's number one? Big scary one. Heart attack. Number one killer in men and women. Number two is cancer, heart disease, stroke. Yeah. So cancer is number two, diabetes. Those are the top three. And they're all called the silent killers because we don't what? We don't feel it. We don't feel it. Most of the time, the heart attack, the first symptom is the actual heart attack. So if you're basing your health on how you feel, then how are you ever going to know if your body's getting sick or getting healthy? Now, yes, nutrition is important. Yes, exercise is important. Clearly, it talks about it in this book, right? But can someone eat vegan or eat all organic and still get cancer? Yes. This is important. Nutrition supports health. It does not control health. Exercise is important, but have you ever known someone who was super fit, had an 8-pack, and still got disease? Yeah. I mean, we see it in the news all the time. Nutrition and exercise and supplements and sleep and rest, like all these things are really, really good, but it's what supports health. It doesn't control health. So here's the renewing of the mind. Health is defined by your body's ability to function and heal. Health is defined by your body's ability to self-regulate and adapt to stresses. Health is about how your body heals. So if I was to take you back to like grade school and I say, hey, what's the one system in your body that controls the function and the regulation or the healing of every other cell, tissue, organ? What is the most important organ in your entire body? I had one person yell out liver like really loud. I'm like, yes, your liver is important, but no, it is your nerve system. It is your brain and spinal cord. I mean, you saw it. The very first thing to form in your mother's womb is God knitting your nerve system together. And from that, these little fingers growing off, you see those little things growing in that video? At the end of that is where organs form. The very first thing that he created was your nerve system. And from that nerve system created organs. And the nerve system stayed there to continue to coordinate and control every single organ in your entire body. So for your heart to beat, your lungs to breathe, to digest food, to heal a cut, for your nerve system, even for your body to activate and kill off viruses, your nerve system transmits that life energy. And it's not the brain and spinal cord material, because we could have a dead body right here and they have a brain and spinal cord, but if I cut their arm, what does not happen to the cut? It doesn't heal. So it's not it's the power. It's the life energy. It's the spirit. It's the breath that God breathed inside of you. And that power is there until it is gone. But that's the power that regulates and heals. So health is defined by your body's ability to heal, to regulate and to adapt to stresses. And we know that because if we took scissors and we cut all the nerves that go to the heart, what would instantly happen to the heart? Lights off. It doesn't matter how young, how fit. It doesn't matter if you can run a mile in 5 minutes. It doesn't matter if you can do 200 push-ups. It doesn't matter if you eat a ton of organic broccoli. None of that matters. If we cut the nerve to the heart instantly turns on. Yes or yes? Now, if we scale that back, and let's say there's just stresses, slips, falls, sitting at a computer for hours a day, car accidents, sports injuries, and something shifts out of the spine, who's ever heard of a pinched nerve before? Raise your hand. So if this nerve gets pinched going to the heart, is that heart going to function good or bad? Now, is that a belief or a fact? That's a fact. Who's ever heard someone say, I don't believe in chiropractic before? I've heard it a lot. Quacks. And it's the reality is like, it doesn't matter how much you tell me you do not believe in gravity. If I drop this, what still happens? That's just a law of nature. That's how God designed it. Your nerve system is what controls and coordinates every bit of your physiology. If there's some sort of stress or damage, it's going to create disorganization and dysfunction. But when we think of pinched nerves, we think of like pain. We think of like sciatic, right? I don't know if anybody's ever suffered from a pinched nerve before. Like that can be very painful. But 95% of our nerve system controls function. Only 5% relays pain. That means that I could take out 95% of your nerve system and light it on fire and you're not going to feel anything. That's why disease can build and you not feel it. You can't tell me your spleen is at 70 or 80 or 90% today. Like you can't feel the inside stuff. It doesn't work like that. The way your body is designed is your nerve system controls and coordinates function and health and healing. Only 5% relays pain or sensation. And that's why it's so scary to base your health off of how you feel, because disease grows silently. It kills silently. The nerve system is designed to coordinate that. So just like, who's ever had an x-ray of their spine before? Okay. So if I had time, I would go through some of this stuff in real detail, because I'm such an analytical person. I love like details, and I want to be able to show and do this. Because we're just having a short time, I'm kind of go through this quickly, but like this is a side view of a neck. Does everybody recognize that? No radiologists in the room? This is a side view of the neck. Does anybody know what's wrong with that x-ray? Like what should be in the neck? Okay, so I'm gonna go through this because I want to get to one. If I have a little bit of time, I'm gonna go through this one part of this. But so this is an X-ray of a patient. Now, if you've ever been somewhere where they X-rayed your neck because they were looking for something going on, but this patient had like thyroid issues. It had migraines so bad she had to do 36 Imitrex shot every 3 months. She had drugs. She was told she needed to do surgery. She had pinched nerve going down her arm, and this is where all that's coming from. This loss of curvature is damaging this disc, which is pinching the nerve. Right? Who's ever heard of like degenerative disc disease? Okay. Or arthritis? Who's heard of arthritis? Who gets arthritis? Young or old people? Okay. Yeah. Arthritis has zero to do with age. It has to do with damage accumulation, because this disc look really good. That one looks terrible. And they're all the same age. The misalignment, the subluxation, that's what's causing the joint to wear down or wear out, not the age. It's the damage accumulation. But that loss of curvature is damaging that area of her spine. I don't care how much Tylenol, how many shots she gets in her neck. The symptoms are we call soft signs, warning signs of dysfunction. Like headaches are not a lack of Tylenol. Like they're not a deficiency of Tylenol. High blood pressure is not a deficiency issue of like lisinopril. Right? Those are things that are treating symptoms. So the body's giving us soft signs or warning signs that there's something wrong. So instead of giving her treatment or giving her like things to treat a symptom, we're like correcting the cause. Like we're correcting the spine, getting stress and pressure off of the nerve system so that the body can communicate. Because if we unpinch the nerve going to the heart and that communication starts to build back, what should start happening to the heart? Is it going to get sicker, weaker, or healthier and stronger? Healthier and stronger, because that's the way the body's created. So again, I'm not going to go through like all this correction and show you all these incredible testimonies, but just referencing, I'm not going to walk you through the difference of how you go through a corrective process or a corrective chiropractic clinic like a Max Living office, but I wanted to talk about this because it's probably the most common issue. And it's not just common in a certain group, it's common across the board. I mean, I've been in practice for 15 years. I've seen tens of thousands of patients, and this is like an epidemic. And so I want to talk about this because this affects everybody. So this is a side view of the neck x-ray, okay? Everybody recognize this? This is like a sagittal cut. Like think of like an MRI, okay? So the main job of the bones are to protect the spinal cord. See the spinal cord right here? Brain stem, spinal cord. Who remember Christopher Reeves? Okay, he broke his neck. That second bone shifted 5 millimeters, bruised his brain stem, and what shut off? Yeah, not just muscles and ligaments, heart, lungs, digestion. Yeah, because the brain cannot control body function, right? Now, if we could have magically repaired that, what would have happened? He would have been Superman again, right? Okay, so this is a side view neck x-ray, and this is talking about the arc of life. The higher up on your spine, the more important neurologically it is. If he would have broke his back, he would have been better off. True or true? Right? So injuries and stresses or misalignments in the neck are more devastating neurologically than lower back issues, okay? So this is a x-ray of a reverse curve. So see how the curve is going wrong direction? Kind of like that first x-ray I showed of Karen. Okay, I want everybody to do this. Put a perfect 45-degree curve in your hand, facing you, like this. See how nice and loose the skin is? right? Okay, nice and relaxed. Now lose the curve. Or try to bend it backwards. What happens to the skin? It gets tight, right? It stretches. So if I took the spinal cord and I stretched it, it's going to get thinner, isn't it? Like a rubber band. This sort of X-ray is stretching the spinal cord somewhere between 5 and 7 centimeters. That's pathological nerve tension. It thins the cord. Who knows what MS is? Multiple sclerosis? Okay, that's a demyelinating disease. That's when the nerve system degenerates, and then you lose function of organs and muscles. This is occurring in the spinal cord if there's a straight neck or a loss of curvature or especially a reverse curve. You can see on this MRI the spinal cord coming up and see how it's thinned, it's stretched. So it's like taking an 8-lane highway and moving it down to a 2-lane highway. How in the world do you get the traffic through? You can't. So if someone's x-ray looks like this, is their body, is it building healthy coordination or disorganization or disease? Disorganization. Here's the problem is like, remember our body talks about symptoms. I can't tell you how many x-rays I've seen like this, which looks crazy bad, no symptoms. No neck pain, no headaches. Because remember, so many of these things happen inside our body and we don't know. I see so many x-rays of scoliosis patients with no symptoms. It's crazy. So these are typical warning signs that someone might have a subluxation or misalignment. Now, in our office, a lot of our patients don't even have symptoms. They just come in to get their nerve system checked. Like just today, we had a couple parents who are bringing their kids in just to get checked. You know, because when you think of this like tech neck syndrome, who do we think about? Who's on their phone all day long? Yeah, it's crazy. But it's happening even in kiddos. So we get all these kiddos checked, even though they don't have any symptom, or spouses checked just because there's no symptoms, because we want to find out if there's any potential neurological interference that might create dysfunction or disease. But anytime I do a talk like this, people are like, well, how do you know if you have a misalignment? Well, the only way to know is if you take a really good x-ray by someone who's looking for it. Because if you get x-rays by a doctor, they're not looking for real misalignments, they're looking for pathology, fractures, tumors. But these are soft signs that you could have a misalignment. So every one of these, yes, is caused by interference in your nerve system. So we do these like specials, so anytime I come out and someone's like, hey, Dr. Brent, I would love to come and get my nerve system checked. If you were to go to the medical doctor, like the ER or whatever, and get like thermal imaging scans to find stress on your nerve system interference or full spine digital x-rays, consultation with a neurologist, like what would that cost? Like an insane amount, right? Like in our office, it's like $300 or so. Anytime I come out in the community, a gift to anybody who sits through me talk, I give a $37 new patient special. If anybody wanted to ever find out if they had a misalignment in their nerve system, they can absolutely come into my office. We do a consultation, full health history, thermal imaging, full spine digital x-rays. If you have a symptom, yeah, I'd love to solve how to fix that. If there's no symptom and you just want to know, hey, like, what's my nerve system look like? This sounds important to my health. Then take advantage of this. It's just a new patient special. You can use a QR code if you want, and you can take advantage of that. No pressure. I mean, you don't have to. My office is in Norman. It's on the north side of Norman, right off of Flood, like off the interstate. If you're at all interested, or maybe you know someone you think should probably check it out. I mean, there's different ways to contact us, but you can put this on your phone if you want. But this allows you to get that $37 new patient special. So for a whole health history, full spinal exam, orthopedic tests, full spine digital x-rays, it's $37. And that also includes like a report of findings. Like let me or one of my doctors sit down and say, hey, this is kind of what we see going on. Hey, these are health issues. Here's some health goals we talked about. And here's an opportunity for us to maybe do some really good work in correction, right? So, yeah.
Do you think, can you get off blood pressure medicine?
Absolutely. Okay, can I say something? The job of a good doctor should be able to help you get off of medication. If you go to the doctor and they're just consistently saying to take it forever or take more, like that's the wrong doctor. Like, so my patients who come in, so as a chiropractor, I cannot tell someone to come off of medication. It's not in my scope of practice. But the goal is to not take it. The goal is to not need it. So the goal is to get so gosh darn healthy you don't need it. So when my patients get healthy and they go to the medical doctor and they're like, hey, doc, I've been doing all this amazing stuff. I feel great. I'd love to try to reduce or come off my medication. If the doctor says no, you fire them on the spot. They're not on your team. They're on the pharmaceutical team.
What about thyroid?
Absolutely. That patient who saw the x-ray, you saw the x-ray correct? She was on thyroid medications. Because all the damage on the nerve is going to the thyroid. This is not magic, guys. This is not magic. If there's a pinched nerve damage in your nerve system, that's affecting how that part of the body works, it's going to get weak or sick. If you correct it, the body has the ability to start to heal. Now, yes, nutritional deficiencies and toxicities can play a role. I talk about doing these like metabolic panels and stuff like that, or just even just changing good nutrition. Like that stuff goes a long way if the body is working properly, if the body is functioning properly. But if you do all these amazing nutrition changes and exercises, but there's still damage and interference in your nerve system, you're going to be limited in your healing. Question?
What about RA?
So it's an inflammatory issue. Yeah, that vagal nerve, they did huge studies when they do vagal nerve activation. It reduces the inflammatory responses or reorganizes inflammatory responses. In this study specifically, when they cut the neck open and drilled this battery under the vagal nerve and stimulated it, out of 100 people, a ton of them got better and a bunch of them went into remission. I don't know what the study is called, but yes, I mean, now the correction neurologically is critical, but for people who do want to feel better quickly, these like nutrition strategies and some of the different things are incredibly beneficial. Your body got sick, it can get well. Absolutely. I have a couple more minutes for questions, unless my watch is fast.
What does it look like for type 1 diabetic?
So it's an autoimmune issue, right? So the pancreas isn't functioning properly. So if you did like a bunch of metabolic panels, I'd love to see what the deficiencies or toxicities that are creating the dysfunction. Obviously, neurologically, you'd have to get checked, because what if there's stress or damage on the nerve system that regulates your autonomic nerve system, or even a direct influence to the pancreas itself? Now, again, like this is what I tell people. It's not a matter of if you're going to get better. It's just a matter of when. And I don't know what the full better looks like. That's between you and the creator. Like, I'm not saying I'm reversing type 1 diabetes. What I'm saying is the patients that come in with type 1 diabetes, if they apply the 5 essentials, these principles we're talking about, they get better. Like, they improve. Now, I've seen lots of amazing testimonies on what improvement can really look like between prayer and trusting it to God. And just, I meant to say this earlier, when it comes to like prayer and trusting God, prayer without action is dead. You cannot sit and just pray. Even Jesus said, you know, if it's just about words with no action, it is worthless. Like, the way it should work is prayer should create clarity. Meditation and plans and listening should give you action steps. And if you create the action and trust God, then you'll get a result. Okay. More questions? Okay. This is where I'm at, just off of 35 in Flood, just south of Victory Church. Pretty easy access north side of Norman. Your first visit, if you were to choose to come in, it's about 45 minutes or so. There's paperwork online. Come in prepared. We try our hardest to be an on-time office. I would love to sit down, go through health goals, what's bothering you, a list of medications, health concerns, go through the neurological scans, exams, x-rays. I'll get that stuff analyzed, so we schedule second visits to go through report of findings, which is included in a $37 special. Because I want to know if I'm going to be able to help someone before I tell them. And that's what the exam purpose is for, is to see if I'm going to accept a patient or not. If I'm very confident that what you have, I know we can improve, then I'll walk people through recommendations and go through that. I always get questions about insurance, because yes, I'm a chiropractic clinic. Yes, of course, we take insurances and stuff. We verify insurances, and we can go through all that stuff on that report of findings visit to show you, hey, if we were to do this, this is how insurance would work, blah, 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 blah. Cool. Any other questions? I'm done right on time, I think. That never happens.